The Alric Mackenzie Show starts right now.
Today, the story of how love can take you on the most unpredictable paths. Welcome to the Alric Show.
The Alric Show, inspiration, motivation, one vision, hope to one new generation. Together we can live and learn. Yes, we're one family on the Alric Show.
When Napoleon met Anita, she was in no way interested in marriage, but it was his charm that Anita found irresistible.
He actually used to work at a bank, and I was a customer at the bank. So I used to go in the bank and I saw him, I noticed. Later on, I actually went to work at the same bank, so we met officially. At that time, I wasn't really looking for a relationship. I was determined that I wasn't going to get married.
She played this I'm not available kind of thing and made me think that she was not even interested in marriage or any such thing.
I just wanted my space and freedom. I didn't want to get tangled up with anybody. And it's not from necessarily bad experiences. My parents were happily married for years, but I just wanted my freedom. And so I really didn't want to get married. So I was really looking for a relationship, but this guy kind of was persistent.
You know, the power of a convincing man who knew what he wanted and how to go about achieving that. I pull out all of the critical components to make sure that what I wanted happened.
When we met, he knows I had a sweet tooth, so he would buy some chocolate, and he looks for the kind of exotic things, not necessarily expensive, but exotic things that he know that I like. And he would buy and take it to me. He would call me to make sure I'm okay. Just little things like those. So eventually we started dating. I remember we went to a play in Santa Cruz, St. Elizabeth, and he, in his old-fashioned way, said, "Would you like to go steady?" I started reconsidering this whole idea of not getting married, not getting in a relationship. And I said, okay, let's give it a try. We worked at the same place, so we tried as much as possible to keep it out of the workplace. So in order to spend time with him after work, we'd walk up to my house and we'd sit around for a little, and then we would go and sit on the Seventh-day Adventist church wall because he was waiting on his cousin to pick him up, and we would sit there for hours and just talk.
Sun going down there on the Black River seafront, it was just amazing to see her eyes, like mercy, they just sparkled. She has the most amazing eyes that there could possibly be that God created, you know, and that alone just kind of just pulled me in. Like I was lost. It was a world all by itself, knowing that here's this person who was paying me some attention, and then the attention grew. We had conversations, long conversations about every little silly thing, every serious thing. That's where the bond took its ultimate place.
On Saturdays, we had a friend who had a car. So we would maybe go out, four of us, to the beach or just drive somewhere to bother to eat some fish and drink some coconut water. I wanted to get to know this person, to make sure that if he's changing my mind about my stance, then it's something that's going to last, that I really want, and that this man would be worth, you know, changing my whole approach, my whole thinking for. Somebody who is fun, who would make me laugh, who would think I'm important enough to put first, sometimes, most of the times, and somebody who I would want to be father to my children.
She was loyal, fiercely loyal, respectful, spoke her mind freely, told you what she thought. This sense of honesty that she brought to just who she is. What you saw was what was there. But people looking on, they thought it would last. Some people said that we were just giving you about 6 months for this to work. But we understood that what was critical is our commitment to each other, our determination to see this relationship become what we hoped it would have been. And that was critical for us, not people's opinions of what it was going to be or not. At the first point, because we were in the same space in banking and so on, it was easier then because we pretty much saw each other, spent more time together. But then I shifted into full-time Christian ministry, and that created some, jerking of the relationship, so to speak. But because we knew what our friendship was and the solidness on which we had built our relationship, we knew that it would have lasted.
Now happy and comfortable that they have passed each other's test, Anita and Napoleon's relationship grew deeper. But would they find favor with each other's parents?
His mother thought, oh, she's high-colored. And we got along very well. I think they liked me. I tried to be me so that I didn't give them a false impression of who I wasn't. And so I tried to be me, and they liked me. But the only negative thing was I was very tiny. So his grandmother said, Lord, Mark, she nice, but she maga.
Anne's mom was a tough nut to crack. Her dad, pretty good, very receptive, but trying to just get through to Miss Maggie was quite a task. She made it extremely difficult. Her first daughter, she wanted to make sure that the person who was coming in the home was somebody that she knew she was comfortable with, and she didn't make it easy at all. She had her opinions, she had her concerns, she had her challenges, but over time, sharing with her, telling her my heart, causing her to know that my intention was to make sure that this woman that I was going to take into my life, my heart was to make her the best woman she could possibly be.
Well, yeah, my mother gave him a little difficult time, but I wasn't really worried because I know that eventually she was going to grow to love him as much as my father did, and that really happened.
By now, Napoleon was ready to take the ultimate step in their relationship. It was a day, a time, and a place he would never forget.
Holland Bamboo Avenue, 13th of December, 4 o'clock the afternoon. There's the bamboo shades and the light playing with each other. And there we are on the top of Shaw's Hill. We had just visited my parents, and we were just talking, sharing. I had by then bought wedding band and all these things. She had no idea we had gone this far. And right there on the top of the hill, I asked, will you marry me? And the entire Bamboo Avenue just went up into a kaleidoscope of singing, angels, the whole works. And she said, yes, I will marry you.
You see, one of the reasons I like you. The word, the silver tongue,
Gosh.
But it's reserved for me. We actually went back to his parents' house to tell them, and then I left to go home to my mother, and he came with me to tell her.
Yeah.
And my mother, oh my goodness, she was ecstatic.
Yeah, by then we were well on the way in terms of just knowing that here we had a solid relationship. This was no game. We were very, very serious about our commitment to each other. So by then she was pretty settled. So going to tell her that we have done this was relatively easy.
We take a break. When we come back, Anita cancels the big wedding.
The Alec Show. The Alec Show.
Anita and Napoleon are engaged and in love. While family and friends planned for the big wedding, Anita did the unexpected.
No, I had a very strange wedding experience. My brothers, most of them were abroad by now. So I was the oldest sister. So they were planning this big shindig and they were buying up and they were excited. My wedding dress came out and my after dress came out and in those days country, you didn't have hotels, so you just cook a big thing on the back of the yard and put up a tent and stuff. So they were buying and packing barrels and stuff. And the pressure was getting to me and it was getting to me. Everybody want this, want that, want that. So I said one day, Mark, that's what I call him. You think we should just go to the pastor yard and married and forget about this whole big thing because it's really stressing me out, you know.
I totally supported her because my heart was just whatever it is that she wanted that would make her comfortable, that would make her happy. Family can make demands on you. Yes. Family can make some requirements of you that everybody's pulling in their own direction, and you could see it was taking a toll on her. And we thought, why should we do this? Why should we put ourselves through it? So let's do what she wanted, get married, and to move on with our lives. They'll come around at some point.
Let me say, all right, let's do what we want and let's get married. And we eloped. We just went to the pastor's yard, got a special lesson with 2 friends and got married.
Yeah.
And we went to board and ate fried fish and bami and drink coconut water. I don't think my brothers have forgiven me for it yet. But I just couldn't take the pressure.
After carrying out their secret and spontaneous wedding, Napoleon and Anita moved in together. They soon realized the fruits of marriage, some sweet and some bitter.
I'm now thinking, having to put another person's well-being ahead of mine, having to make sure his clothes were ready, ironed, making sure that he had dinner, making sure the house was clean and stuff like that. And just the emotional support of my family. We were very tight, so they were always there. And I really, really miss that. Even though he was there, giving me that kind of emotional support, I still really miss my family. And I wanted to go home sometimes, yes. But I know that I made a commitment and a covenant before God, so I was going to work at sticking it out. So I was calling my mother on a regular basis to find out, Mama, will you cook this again? And she would walk me through cooking certain things. When I was uncertain about something, I would call her, Mama, wait, and she would walk me through it.
The experience for me was a little bit confusing at first. Because here we are now moving out of honeymoon. We were doing everything together. We were wearing the same kinds of colors together. The whole works. We were like a team. Now we're into marriage. The marriage shock, the transfer into this new space was a little bit jolting because Anita really wanted her family. The family structure the way she had it, I never had it, so I would not be missing it in that sense. So it was a jolt for me. Why don't you want to stay with me all the time now, as we were doing during courtship? So that's a bit of a challenge. She wanted more and more of that family unit, that because they have been so tight. I never had that, so it wasn't that big of an issue for me. So that was a part of the tension that we had in the early part of the relationship.
As if moving in together wasn't enough to test their strength and commitment, along came a difficult pregnancy.
We know we wanted children, but in those days we never had marriage counseling per se. You had the elder who said a few sentences to you and he was extremely embarrassed to say those sentences. So a lot we didn't know. So children came immediately.
You're doing this for the first time. You're expecting smooth sailing. Here comes a pregnancy. It was really, really difficult on her.
I had
Toxema,
edema.
the whole
The whole works. I was poisoned, so I was getting black. My complexion was actually very black.
Because the Chinese poisoning
was poisoning because I was something to do with their waste not being coming out of my body properly, and my blood pressure was up. I was in and out of hospital.
And I didn't know what to do. I didn't have anybody to turn to in that sense. So I had to be learning and going on as much as I could. And I'm trying to be as supportive, taking care of her, making sure the baby's okay, making sure that Yannick was nurtured as much as I could from my end. And just making sure that this girl that I had promised Miss Maggie to take care of was okay. So it was really tough. And emotionally, physically, in so many ways it was tough.
The doctor actually told me to abort my daughter. And I really looked at him and asked me if he was crazy. Are you mad? And he said to me that your body was not made to have children, so if you're not willing to abort this one, let it stop here. But I went ahead and had my son, and I would not have missed that for anything. If I had it to do over, I would just do it again. If it meant that I was going to be as sick as I would still do it.
More from Napoleon and Anita when we come back.
The Average Show. The Average Show.
Napoleon and Anita Black are enjoying a love relationship for over 29 years. From their experience, they have a lot to share. Napoleon is also a pastor and counselor.
You know, as a marriage counselor as well, I have learned so much in this time, but as well, I have sought to give people that some of what we have experienced, but as well, just learning what it means, no matter what it means to live with somebody that you made a commitment to 29, 30 years ago, what it means to go through the difficult places, what it means to just manage some of the stuff that come with marriage. We hear some crazy things about marriage these days. Marriage is underdone. We hear the sick jokes about mother-in-law and so on. But just learning what it means to stay in a relationship that you have committed to, stay in a relationship with the challenges that come with it, stay in a relationship because of the vows you have made, stay in a relationship understanding that whatever your foundation is, you must know at the end of the day why you want this, why you did this in the first place, and what your purpose is.
Believe me, there have been times when I said, Lord, me really can't bother. But then I have to remember that I made a vow. It's a covenant relationship, and it's not something that I take lightly. So I know that I have to compromise in some areas. I learned that the battles you cannot win, you just leave it. And anything you cannot change, you leave it. If you can change it, you work at it. If it's a battle you can win, then you fight it. But there are certain things that I just learned to just leave alone. We have had some really passionate arguments, but we have tried as best as we can to, even though we argue, to respect each other. So there are certain things that we're not going to, even if we think it, there are certain things we're just not going to say out loud to each other because we have to respect each other.
We learn to fight fairly because fighting is an important part of any relationship. Also, we have to learn the boundaries of fighting, making sure that there's some lines we're not going to cross, no matter, as Anita says, no matter if we think it, we make sure that in this fight we're having, it's not about destroying her, it's what is the real issue here we're trying to contend with, and make sure that at the end of the day, no matter what happens, no matter how long this fight takes, 2 years if necessary, even if we're going through that period, we're always respectful of each other.
I can really hold a grudge, so it's usually Napoleon who comes and tries to make up. He likes American politics, so he likes MSNBC. I don't want to come out here. I want to stay in my bed and watch AGTV and TLC and DIY. And he wants to watch MSNBC, and he's not coming out here either. So we kind of have a little argument sometime on where to turn, but we try to compromise. Sometimes his work is very demanding, and there are times when I'm really annoyed because he has to stay at the office late, or he'll have to get up midnight to go deal with some issue with a church member, and it is really very annoying. Sometimes I think he should say wait until morning or during work hours, then come see me. But he thinks it's very important to take care of his flock. So he will go the extra mile, which leaves sometimes very little time for me. And I find that extremely annoying. But then when he realizes that I'm getting annoyed, he will try to make sure that we have time together.
Anita is very, very territorial. Mercy Jesus.
Yeah.
So sometimes the persons I may or may not have in my space may be an issue for her, whatever their reasons for being there, you know. And it's not for want of an appreciation of what I do and so on, but here's a person who says, here's my space and nothing or nobody is allowed to cross it. And sometimes when they cross over into it, it can create some more tension between us.
I'm able to see things in persons that he is not able to see.
We have been through some tough spaces, we've been through some exciting spaces, but you're God's gift to me, and I thank God for these 29 years that we've shared together.
For me too, there has been ups and downs, but somehow I feel secure when you're around. When you're not here, I kind of feel incomplete. And the past 29 years has been really good. And I thank you for just being there and for accepting all my my faults and just loving me for who I am, faults and all. And I just want to say I'm looking forward to another 29 years or so with you.
Despite the many challenges, Napoleon and Anita Black have made it to 29 years and they regret nothing. Thank you so much for joining us for the Alric Show. See you next week.